Welcome to the Politics of Survival. I'm your host, Tara Reid, and I am with someone whom I very much admire and follow his work, Don Cortier, who is a journalist, investigative journalist, as well as having his own show. So Don has experience with being an RT correspondent, as well as what it's like as an American to live in Moscow and to be a professional journalist. And he can give us a lot of insight about that. So welcome to the show, Don. Thank you for coming.
Thanks a lot for having me, Tara. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great, great. So you have a show and I got to be on it last week. Can you tell everyone, and I see the logo behind you there, can you tell our audience a little bit about your show and a little bit about you and how you made the transition from America to Moscow, Russia?
Sure. Well, I'll start with me since I made my journey before I started this YouTube channel. But I basically studied Russian and history in university. I have a dual major, one in Russian language and literature and the other in history, with a focus on actually the fall of the Soviet Union. I was always, since a young age, actually, I think when I was 13, I really started getting into anti-imperialist theories, into Marxism and all this stuff. So that has always been an inspiration of my life as long as I've been an adult. That's why I chose to study Russian. I wanted to understand the history of the USSR from the socialist perspective. And after I graduated, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I just thought, what am I going to do with an education like that in the US? So I thought I'd move to Russia and improve my level of Russian here by being immersed in the culture and everything. Eventually, I ran into some people that were associated with Russia Today, and they just, saw something in me, and they offered me a job to train for several months to become a correspondent. And now I'm like one of the top people there. So.
Yes, you are. And you're very good at what you do. I follow your work. Thanks. And for those who want to follow it in Europe, then part of my audience is in Europe as well as America, please look at Rumble. That's the easiest place now to follow RT since the all the censorship. And what are some other ways, Don, can people find your work?
Well, there's also, if RT.com is not blocked in your country, you can always go to the RT.com website and just click live on the top of on the top of the website. We have our own independent player. You can watch the news there, or you can go on Odyssey. Odyssey is also another, basically the same thing as Rumble, but just another company, another website that allows people to have their video content there without any sort of censorship. My channel is also there just in case, because, people like me are getting blocked and permanently banned left and right on YouTube. So it's just a matter of time. Everything's backed up on Odyssey if that ever happens and you want to watch my channel. But, like I said, I've been developing here as a journalist, and somewhere along the way, I decided I was going to fill my free time with developing this behind me, the Revolution Report YouTube channel. It's where I basically show people both the Russian perspective and the perspective of people who used to live in the Soviet Union about what was like there. Because in the West, at least in the United States where I'm from, we only hear this perspective of people who defected from the Soviet Union. And these are actually this is actually a very small minority of people, but they come to the United States and they say everything was terrible in the Soviet Union. Everything, there was nothing good about it. When you talk to the masses of people who stayed there and you realize that they were actually terrified when the Soviet Union collapsed. They didn't want that to happen. In fact, there was a referendum held across the Soviet Union, and people overwhelmingly voted to preserve it. And when you talk to people who are still alive that lived in the USSR, they all say the same thing. Life was much better when we had free education, when we had free healthcare. People weren't starving. That's just like propaganda. Right. And the deficits, people always talk about, people had to wait in long lines for everything in the Soviet Union. That stuff's completely overblown when you talk to people who actually lived in it. So